Yes, Manoj. Let's start with self-introduction.
Yeah. So to talk about my background, I started my career back in 2019 as an intern, and currently I have 4 years of experience in IT industry as a Microsoft Dynamics CRM developer. And currently I work as Top Edge Technologies, where I have been involved in an internal project, and it is related to healthcare company. And I have good experience in CRM customizations and good knowledge on the out-of-the-box functionalities as well. In addition, I involved in data migrations by using the out-of-the-box wizard, and I do have good knowledge on customizing the CRM by writing the plugins using the .NET, also JavaScript, creating workflows, business rules, field creation, and designing forms, and so on. And to talk about my responsibilities, my typical day includes like sync up calls with my team lead and manager, wherein we discuss about the requirements and we'll take up the tasks. Then I'll work on the assigned tasks and provide updates to my team lead through email by the end of the day. In addition to that, I do join meetings with stakeholders occasionally to provide updates and discuss any changes. And to summarize my skill set, I have good experience with Microsoft Dynamics CRM customizations, like implementing plugins, workflows, custom workflows, business rules, JavaScripts, field creation, form design, .NET, and Azure. And I have good understanding to work with Power Platform, like implementation of Power Automate Flow, Canvas apps, model-driven apps, and basics of Power Portals. That's all about myself.
Okay, good. So do you know about the business rules in the system?
Yes. So to
What
talk
is
about
yeah.
yeah, to talk about the business rules, so the business rules are basically used to apply the business logic and to automate the process without writing any code. And we can set the business rules at three levels. One is entity level, and second one is all forms level, and third one is form level. If you set the business rule at entity level, it will apply for all the entities and also views of the entity. And if we set the business rule at all forms level, it will apply for all the forms. And if we set it for form specific, it will apply only for a particular form. And there are 7 business rules available in the CRM that are out of the box functionalities. Set visibility, uh, show show error message, add recommendation, uh, and set business required or not business required, and set lock or unlock, set default value, and set field value.
Okay. So you have mentioned the scope, right? Is
Yes.
can I have any real-time scenario where you have used scope as entity and the reason why you have used scope as entity?
So basically, let's take an example of. So can you please repeat the question again, sir?
So can I have any real-time scenario where did you use the scope as entity? Have you ever created any business rule with scope entity?
So I have created, but so yeah, let me give an example. So let's take patient entity. It has views as well.
A patient entity and a panel don't know, right? It has to be in the generic way.
So then we have to use out of the box entities like sales, accounts, or patients, right?
Yeah, something like in generic way, you have to convert into the CRM and explain.
Okay. I'm not sure about the question. So I'll work on it after the interviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you know about the plugins in CRM?
Yes. So plugins are basically used to write the custom code and implement automate the business process by using the C# code, and we can run these plugins as synchronous or asynchronous, and these plugins act as event handlers, and these will trigger based on the event messages like create or update.
Okay. So do you know about the pipeline stages in the plugin?
Yes, there are three pipeline stages in the plugin. One is pre-validation, other one is pre-operation, post-operation. And pre-validation, if we set the plugin as pre-operation, it will trigger before even it perform the basic operations like uh, pr- privilege check or out-of-the-box validations. And if we set the plugin as pre-operation. It will run, it will execute before the data saves in the operation in the server. And if you set the plugin as post-operation, it will execute after the data saves at the saves in the server. And when we talk about the plugin pipeline stages, we have to talk about the rollback. So whatever the changes made before the exception throws in pre-validation, it will get succeeded. But in pre-operation, post-operation, whatever the operations performed before the exception, it will get rollback.
Hmm. Okay. Can I have any scenario based? Have you ever implemented any plugin in the pre-operation?
Yeah. So for example, let's take we get the support tickets, and we have to assign the support tickets in a round robin using the round robin technique. So if we set the if we use the post operation for this plugin, it will not give the exact count. So that's why we have to use the pre operation to get the exact count and assign the workload to the team members.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in your career, may I know how many plugins have you implemented?
So far, I have implemented around 15 to 20 plugins.
Yeah, so if you take the in your past career, may I know what is your most difficulty plugin have you implemented and what are the challenges did you face? Can I have the example?
Yeah, to give an example, so whenever the parent record is updated, we have to update all the child records. So that means, for example, let's take an account like a customer entity. So whenever the customer updates the phone number or the email, the child record should be updated automatically. So for this, I have implemented the plugin in that. So in the first step, I'll write the function that will get the updated customer email ID or the phone number. And in the second step, I'll use the fetch XML to get the list of records that is related to the customer in a particular customer. And then I'll use the organization service dot update to update uh, and I'll use the for each loop. In the for each loop, I'll use the organize service dot update to update all the records one by one. And I have faced challenges related to the fetch XML, where I was not able to get the data properly. So for that, I have used advanced find, and I have research on the internet related articles related to the plugins and how to get the multiple records. So this way I have troubleshooted the issue. And also I use the debugger tools to troubleshoot the issues.
Hmm. Okay. So how do we debug a plugin? What are the steps do you follow?
So there are two ways to debug the plugin. One is using that trace logs, that is we can write the trace service dot trace inside the code. And other one is using the profiler using the plugin registration tool. So we can download the log file and we can upload we can upload that log file in the plugin registration tool, and then we can add the breakpoint in the Visual Studio and use the debugger functionalities like going through step by step, or the are using the one function at a time.
Okay. Okay. May I know about your recent project?
So recent project that I'm working is a is it's an internal project which is related to healthcare. So we have different entities in this application, like hospital entity, hospital staff entity, patient medicine bills, lab report bills. So when we customize the CRM and in the we customize the fields, and also we create the business rules, workflows, and plugins, and also sometimes we use the
What is the functionality of the project? User point of view, what purpose they use?
so, so from the user perspective, the it is this application is used to make the appointments and
Yeah, so you just mentioned like the project is hospital management. It used to manage their internal activities by the management of the hospital, like managing their appointments with the doctors, like that you have to explain.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Uh, uh, okay, then fine. And have you ever worked on the workflows?
Yes, I have worked on the workflows. So basically, the workflows are used to create the simpler, complex business processes without writing any code. So we can create standard workflows by using out of the box functionalities, as well as we can create the custom workflows by using the C Sharp.
So how many types of workflows available?
So I have worked on the standard workflows and the business process workflows.
Do you know about the real-time and background workflows?
Oh, yeah, I know. So to talk about the a background workflow. So the background workflow, it runs in the it runs in the background. That means it runs in asynchronous, and a real-time workflow it acts as an synchronous. That means it runs in the foreground, and in the background workflow, it always runs as a owner context, and in the real-time workflow, it runs as a user context as well as owner context, and in the real-time workflow we cannot add wait condition, but in the background workflow we can add wait condition.
Mm-hmm. So may I know any scenario where did you use in your project workflow as a real time?
So, for example, if we have any financial related data, then it is it is advised to use the real time workflow because we have to populate the values immediately. If we use the background workflow, it will take the time and we have to refresh the page to populate the data.
Mm-hmm. Can I have a scenario?
So I know not the out of the box not related to the accounts and sales. So I have to work on it.
Okay. So let's say, so how do you get the requirements in your current project?
So basically, we have functional we have architect and the
I
functional
mean, how do you get the tasks? What tool do you use to manage the tasks?
so we use Jira as a project management tool to
Hmm.
manage our tasks, and our team lead assign the tasks to us.
Okay. So if there is a task is assigned to you and they just mention the business requirement, so who will guide you or who will decide which component you have to use? Do you have to use plugin or workflow or any JavaScript? The solution, who will design?
So architect.
Do you have any experience, solution design experience? Can you able to decide which one have to use? If I provide any requirement, do you know what component you have to use and implement?
Yes, I do have knowledge on the, decide the component like which component has to use for the requirement, but I have not
Correct.
extensively. But
Let's
I don't
say
have
I have a simple requirement in the project. If I give that requirement, can you design the solution?
yes, I can try.
Mhm. Okay. So what are the most difficult challenge did you face in your career? What is the most difficult task? What
So
challenges did you face and how did you overcome?
So basically, recently I started working on the Power Platform on the Azure. So I before that I didn't have extensive knowledge on the exposure to these tools. So I have gone through some trainings and also read some articles and following the key influences on the LinkedIn, and by going through all these documents, I'm able to learn and also implementing those tasks in the current project.
No, I'm just asking about the completed one. So you might have worked so many tasks in your career, right? What
Yeah.
is the most difficulty task, complex task you have successfully completed? And what is the complexity? What type of complexity did you face?
So I have worked on the custom workflow, which was a difficult task for me because I was working on this stuff for the first time. So first I have created the uh, first I have written the business logic in the uh, using the Visual Studio Code, and then I have used the plugin registration tool to register this plugin as an assembly, and then I have created the workflow using the Power Apps. In the workflow, I was not able to get this plugin under the ad steps. So for that, I have gone through some articles, and also I did discuss with my colleagues. So, and then I was able to get this component visible in the workflow under the ad steps. And then I have added and did some configuration to send an email uh, to the customers on the so and so particular day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say I have a scenario.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one of the entity like contact.
Mm.
Contact is having the lookup field to account. So account is the parent entity. Contact is the child entity. Okay.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
on contact entity, I have one of the field like company website or account website or account contact number. One of the field I'm
Mm.
maintaining at contact level. As soon as I select the account record in the lookup, I wanted to automatically populate this field, and the data is available from the account entity. Whatever the account I'm selecting, I have to copy from that account and populate in this field at
Okay.
contact level. Clear so far?
Yeah.
So how do you implement and what kind of logic do you implement to achieve this kind of scenario? Simply have account and contact entity, and the
Yes.
contact is having the lookup field to account.
Mm.
So account is the parent, contact is the child. Okay, and child entity, let's say an account entity, I have account name and account phone number
Okay.
and some of other fields. So in the
Okay.
contact entity, I have the lookup field to account, and also I have the account phone number.
Okay.
So account phone number is locked, not editable, and the contact form. As soon as
Okay.
I select the account, I want to populate the account number.
Yeah. So we can implement this task by using multiple ways. One is using the workflows. Other one is using the plugins, and also we can implement using Power Automate Flow. So also we can implement this task using JavaScript. So to talk about this one, so we can I can implement this using the plugin. So first I'll write the function in the plugin wherein I will get the current account number and the ID, that means GUID and the entity, and then I will use the entity reference to pass these values to get the account number. So once I get the account number, I will set the I using the set I will use the I will set this account number to that on the contact entity.
Mhm.
So this way I can accomplish this task.
Uh, so as you mentioned, there are multiple ways. You mentioned there are four ways.
Yeah.
What is the reason of choosing plugin? Is there any specific reason?
No. So if you write using JavaScript, it performs only on the client side it performs only on the client side validation. So if you use a plugin, it will act as both on the client side as well as server side.
So why? So as you mentioned, we can also achieve this task by workflow and the Power Automate flow as well. So why do we need to go for the custom logic? Plugin is a additional logic, right? It's not out of the box component. It is
Yes.
additional logic, additional coding we have to implement. So
Yes.
instead that
I do
workflows
agree.
also run as a server side. So why you are preferring plugin instead of workflow? Without writing any code, we can implement by using workflow, right?
Yes, we can implement. Yes, I agree with that. We can implement using the workflow.
Yeah, so which one do you prefer?
So the as per the best practices, first we have to use the workflow, and then we can go with the plugin.
Mm-hmm. So why can't we use the JavaScript as per your understanding?
So as I mentioned already, it is used to perform only on the client side validation. That is why we don't prefer it. Also,
Correct, correct.
it can be done by using the workflows. So we don't need to write the custom code.
Yeah, but the first preference should be in the client side. Instead of loading performance on the server, first preference will be the client side. So you have to ask a question, is there any chance creating records in the backend other than the CRM UI? If the if we have only the way creation of records only CRM UI, so client side logic is comfortable and it will work for our business, right?
Okay.
That is how you have to decide which one you have to use.
Okay.
Okay, even client side as well. So if instead of using the server side logic, if you use the client side logic and achieve the task, so we can reduce the impact on the server, right? We can reduce the load on the server.
Yes.
Clear?
So so if we have so as you said, like if we have three like workflows, JavaScript and plugins. So if there is only on the client side, then we can use JavaScript.
Yeah, only on the client side means what is your understanding? If the records created only from the CRM UI,
Yes.
yes, we have to give first preference to JavaScript and then workflow. Workflow is the without writing any code, it's out of the box feature. We have to prefer the workflow. Then we have to go for the plugin. Plugin is the last option. And if
Okay.
you can implement by using the Power Automate flow, then we have to choose Power Automate flow. Power Automate flow also without writing any code. And if you're not able to achieve your requirement by using Power Automate flow, then you have to go for the plugin.
Okay. So got it. So plugin is the last option.
Yeah. So do you know the images concept in the plugin?
Yeah, I know there are two concepts related to the images. One is pre-image and the post-image. So pre-image is used to get the records before before the data saves in the server, and the post-image is used to get the records after the data is saves in the server.
Mm-hmm.
And these two will trigger based on the filtering attributes that we add in the plugin.
Okay. So let's say I have one scenario, an account entity.
Yes.
Okay. An update of one of the field. I have multiple fields on account entity and
Okay.
an update of one of the field. I have one workflow. Workflow is triggering.
Okay.
And also I have another plugin. Plugin also triggering. So which one will execute first?
So here we have. s- So can you please give me is plugin running as asynchronous or synchronous? Our workflow is running as asynchronous or synchronous?
Workflow is running as synchronous. Plugin
Okay.
also synchronous. Both are same.
So if both are synchronous, then first workflow will run and then plugin will run.
Mm-hmm. And let's say so if I have a requirement, I wanted
Mm.
to share data between two plugins. How do we do?
So we have a concept in plugin called shared variable, which will help us to share the uh, data between the two plugins.
Okay. Have you ever used any of your projects?
I have basic understanding of using the shared variable, but I did not get a chance to work on it.
Okay. So let's say I have a requirement. I have one of the issue. So I'm using one of the project. I'm running one of the project, and I implemented, and clients are using already. And it's almost 3 years past, and there are a couple of issues, and the issue is reproducible in Dev and UAT, and the team is fixed and released. So there is one of the issue we faced. The issue is not reproducing in the development environment, and it's happening only in the production. So
Okay.
if you encounter such a situation, how do you handle?
So in that case, we can use a default. Can you please repeat the question again, sir?
The
I was
question
not
is,
clear. Yes.
so one of the issue is happening only in the production environment. I'm not able to reproduce in the lower environment, development and UIT. So how do you identify the root cause? What are the steps do you follow?
I'm not sure, sir.
So generally we have we have to check the plugin trace logs in the production.
Okay.
Okay, by using the plugin trace logs, I think something if you can identify, then well and good. If it is a failure from the plugin, just assume the failure is from the plugin. So what you do, the plugins will be having their trace logs in each line.
Yes.
So plugins will be enabled for the exception case. Okay. So exception case, then the plugins will be captured in the plugin trace logs. You can check the plugin trace logs and identify issue, right? What's going
Yeah.
wrong step by step.
Yeah.
So that is how your approach should be. Clear?
Yeah. But you did not mention that it is related to plugins or it is related
Yeah.
to
Yes.
JavaScript. Yeah.
That you have to ask your next as a question to the panel if you're not clear about that. In
Yeah.
case if it is a JavaScript, you have to check. JavaScript is simple. You have to
Yeah.
connect with the end user and you can do the debug. Debugger can be done from the by opening the
Developer
developer
tools.
tools,
Yeah.
right? So
Yes.
there is no deployment required. That's simply we can perform by using the uh, debug mode. So that one we can arrange a session with the business user and we can control the system and do the debug and identify the issue. సో అలా చెప్పాలి ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ జావాస్క్రిప్ట్ అయితే. ఓకే.
No. Yes.
ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ ప్లగిన్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు టేక్ ఇట్ ఫ్రమ్ ద ప్లగిన్ ట్రేస్ లాగ్స్ అండ్ వాలిడేట్.
Yeah. Okay. Sir.
Yes, Manish. So far, well and good. So you just keep practice the few things. So I will share this recording.
Yes.
Let me just stop.